Hello everyone, and today we are going to be doing a bit of Path of Titans science. So I welcome you to this video because I want to see which diet can do the most damage in a single hit. This is all for fun because I really just wanted to see how far we can push dinosaurs in this game. So let me explain a little bit further of what I'm actually going to be doing. Right, so the way we are going to do this, or I'm going to do this, is I'm going to take the Herbivore Apex, which can do the most damage in a single hit, that being Eotrike, and I'm going to put it with some vanilla dinosaurs that can boost its damage. And we're going to, do some math, figure out how much it can actually increase its damage by, to see what is the strongest possible hit an Eotrike can do in one single attack. I want to see how much damage it can really do, because currently it's strong, but we can definitely push it. And the same goes for carnivores. However, I'm not going to be using the strongest Apex carnivore, because there's a carnivore which does more damage than T-Rex, and that's Daspletosaurus, with one attack, which I'll get into when we start doing the math with the carnivores. But I think for now, I am going to start with the carnivores, actually. I was going to do herbivores, but I think it's better if we do carnivores. Alrighty, so let's start this with, the carnivore's damage dealer. This is Daspletosaurus, and he is going to be our main damage dealer for this entire test. Now, the reason why I was going to use T-Rex, but then I remembered Dasp has a very strong armor pierce attack. It has this, which ignores armor and combat weight, and, I'm looking at the curve overrides right now for the damage multipliers and stuff, and it says this bite does 120 damage in a single hit. That is ridiculous. So we already have 120 damage to start off with the carnivores. I am really mumbling or messing up my words today. Right, but we can boost this. So we already have 3% attack from the sub, which is nice. But we can then make this even better with the sense, Feral Instincts, which is another 20% increased pierce damage. Which then, that's already pretty high. But we can add Rampage, which on low health is another 50%. So that's already 73% attack. That alone, that entire thing just with Dasp takes us to 207 in a single bite, and this thing does armor pierce, it ignores combat weight and armor, so that is 207 attack in a single hit. But we're not done there, ladies and gentlemen. We can go further with this. That's right, a lot further. So, let me take you to the next animal. This funny thing, Alioramus. Now, it's pretty obvious what we're going to do here. We're going to do the Tyrant's Roar. So, let's take this as the best example. So we would have 3 Alios with this Dasp. All 3 would do Tyrant's Roar, which is another 30% attack. And I just opened my calculator because my brain is really bad at doing the math. But that takes us up to 269 damage. 269! Just with Alio, and we're not done. We can do one more thing to boost Dasp's armor pierce attack to its full potential. And yeah, you saw at the start of this video, I'm of course talking about Rhamphorhynchus. Alright, so the final piece of this puzzle, Rhamphorhynchus. When this thing pounces you, it has an ability, let me find it, Plotting Whispers, which gives another 20% damage, which, that's insane. Just from pouncing onto something, it gets 20% more damage. And with all of that said, Rhamphorhynchus, Alioramus, Daspletosaurus, that can take Dasp's pierce bite damage to 322! 322 in one hit! That's ridiculous. But I want to see if the herbivores can even compete with that. So let me go find my herbivores, and I will get right back with you. Okay, right, this is where stuff gets a little bit a little bit annoying because the herbivores have got so many different specific things that can increase damage and other things, which, you know, it's going to take me a little bit to figure this out. But starting off with Eotrike, we can use the head slab. Now, as of lately, Alderon released a patch, which, you know, they changed some stats. This head slam does 105 damage now. 105. Which, you know, that's already 3% attack on the 105, and Eotrike can take this even further. Now, you may be thinking that Sharpened Horns might be the best way to go, because it does I checked the curve overrides, it increases damage by 15%. That's not bad. But then we have Frilled Bond, which stacks up to 4 of 7.5, which is a total of 30%. However, if we use Honed Edge, this adds another 15% onto Eotrike Sharpened Horns. So they equal out. So yeah, you know, I was trying to make it sound, you know, like, ooh, it's not Sharpened Horns, but you could use either of these. They both do 30%. Obviously, if you use Sharpened Horns, you need this to match, and if you use the other one, you need 4 people. And that is all Eotrike can do. So that's already 33% that it can do to itself. This takes Eotrike's damage up to 139, which is not bad. You know, this thing doesn't do armor pierce or anything like Dasps, but that is not bad for an Apex. We can go way, way further with this. Alright, so this wasn't even on the list originally, you wouldn't have seen it, but this is Iguanodon. And I forgot about something it can do. It has a leg ability, which can increase damage for the whole group by 25%. So that's yet again another 25% onto Eos, which takes it up to a grand total of 173. 173, you kidding? And we're not even done. Let's just get straight into the rest. Right, we have reached Lambeosaurus, the second new thing that will buff Eotrike's damage, and that will be using the combat call applies 25% attack damage, call to arms. This attack's gonna just Eotrike's gonna be insane. I don't know if it will be stronger than the Dasps, but it might be close. But that's the whole point of this video, you know? Right, so we add another 25%, which takes us to a total of 216. Also, sorry if this video is very choppy. I keep having to, you know, go get a calculator because I'm not smart enough for this. This is just ridiculous. But that's Lambeo out of the way with. Let's move on to the next funny little thing. Alright, this little critter, Struthiomimus. This thing can add another bit of damage with its combat calls, because it's different to Lambeo's. This thing's combat calls are different to Lambeo's, so I don't see why they wouldn't stack with each other. And that's another 10% attack. So let me just, you know, do some math. And with Struthies added on top, that's 237. Now, I think Eotrike is, you know, it's not doing as good as the Dasp, but there are 2 more things which we can do to add, and these are big multipliers. Not as big as Dasp's 50%, but they're big. Right, let me go get on those real quick. Camptosaurus. This thing is fun. I like this. So, it has an alert call. All members of your group deal 20% more damage with their next attack. So this works as like a ambush type ability, but for herbivores. So this adds another 20% onto Eotrike's already insane damage. Oh my god. And with Camptos added on, that is 285 damage done by Eotrike. Next up is Albertoceratops. We finally have another Ceratopsian to help Eo. And, you know, this thing, it doesn't do too good in terms of how much it boosts. It simply gives a 2.5% times 4, which is just another 10%. So, you know, we get another 10% onto Eotrike's damage, which takes the total to... Alright, that takes it to 313.5 on Eotrike. And we have one more thing. Now, I don't know if this thing should count, because it technically isn't a herbivore, but I'm gonna use Ramphorhynchus. for the herbivores as well as carnivores. And that's because it's pounce, it works. Let me read the description. It works on anything that you pounce. So, you know, it's just whatever you pounce, you can increase its damage by another 20%, which that's gonna make Eartrike do a lot of damage. Alright, I'm blown away. With Ramphorhynchus added on, 375. Eartrike's Head Slam in its first hit would do 375. That's so much damage. That's ridiculous. Apex is used to only have 800 health, and this Eartrike is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure you would kill a T-Rex in a good 3 or 4 hits with that build, and all of these buffs. That's insane. Oh my god, 375. That definitely beats the Dasplatiosauruses of 332. No, sorry, 322, my bad. But, oh my god. So, that's basically the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed. I wanted to do something a bit different, but also, you know, something still Path of Titans related. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. Maybe like, share, subscribe if you feel like it. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. And also, let me know if you want to see any more videos like this, because there's other stuff we can do, you know, with these stats and stuff. And I really do want to see how far we can take some stuff. So anyway, yes, I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day or evening or whatever, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!